Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. I'm gonna give you an update on Dogecoin that is facing the final resistance before sliding up 40% additional. We're gonna discuss the conditions that we need to meet to achieve that in the next upcoming days and why we are in such a critical level. Guys, if you like this type of content, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell to get notified every time I put out one of these videos. For some reason, I get tons of requests to cover Dogecoin. Primarily, the people want to watch Bitcoin in my channel, but it's getting very recurrent, the demand to cover Dogecoin as well. So we're gonna do an in-depth analysis, of course, looking at the altcoin price action. We're gonna cover some news, liquidation levels, and all of that, and giving the spotlight to this potential for the breakout. So if we focus on this area in here, we've been facing a resistance with this yellow trend line. We formed finally a double bottom pattern. It is quite a decent size in here, double bottom, right above the support on the white line. That is what we can see with naked eyes, just looking at the price action, support and resistance. The neckline, there can be a lot of debate because we have this resistance at 0.22 that comes from the highs of April. I was taking that in consideration as a neckline, but we have a fake out in that case in here that formed the pivot high. And we could say that now the neckline is sitting instead of 22 right where we are. And I'm trying to meet the confluence of everything that is going on in here on the weekly time frame, which is already pretty noisy. We have the support on those three candles around this area, then the order block selling off a full level back down, then we come back with this green line into the same resistance, respecting the levels here on the left hand side. So I will say precisely where the price is at the moment is right there, the resistance. That is 24 cents. A close beyond that level is a breakout on the price. Now, what else stands out in here in the chart is the decline of the volume right after we kick off beyond 24 cents. So let's say we go to 25 and there is a huge decline in the structure of the market at that point. And that is because during that area we have fair value gaps located in here around the 30s, and there is a huge slide of the price. We collapse in the middle of a bull market 72% after all, and the area where we slide the fastest was in this area in here. That is confirmed thanks to the volume profile on all that area. After we reach 31 cents, that is a different story. That's the point where the volume starts picking up and we go back to market structure. There's been decent amount of trading in this area again. So all this waka waka stuff, what it means is that we are still trapped below that 24 cents. But if we can exit that level, we can teleport ourselves a lot easier into 31 and beyond those levels. If we calculate this high of the pattern, considering now that the neckline is at 24 and we replace this there, that's giving us a target of 35. That's the technical target of the double bottom. But we have some additional target in here, kind of in confluence around 34 this time, and that comes from the analysis on the RSI. If we place this neckline this time on the RSI and we calculate the high of the structure, if we place it in here, that gives us a target of getting into 66 RSI. And when you calculate 66 RSI in the price, that is giving us roughly 32-33 cents. So you got all this area in here where the volume starts picking up and the technical targets are gonna start finding some resistance at that level. But our focus should be on whether we're gonna see a rejection at 24 and put a higher low at around 20 cents where we again have a big area of volume, or if we are actually gonna close the weekly beyond 24 at around 25 or slightly higher to confirm the breakout. My attention is on that. Now, looking at the full structure of the bull cycle on Dogecoin, some things stand out that are pretty obvious to me. We have higher highs and we have lower highs, almost, we could say equal lows at this point. We've been respecting the 38, this one was 39, and in here is 38 again. Now we have a higher low and we're going on the way to the upside. that last upside that we can see at the end of the range based on connecting this upper line meets with roughly RSI 99, guys. And here is my take on that. If we connect this line in here of support and we place it right there, we have a pretty decent target of getting into the RSI 99. Personally, I will not aim for that. But if you want to know the targets of that, which I know many of you are in the degen side, look what I'm doing to the price on the history of Dogecoin. I'm gonna compress it until we find that RSI 99. It's located at $4.14. So I am not saying place your limit sell order at $4.14 and go on holidays. Definitely that's not the case. Typically when you extend a line like this and it gives you 99 or 98, I just kind of ignore it and I start going step by step. First step, let's get into 66 and let's see if that can expand, because there can be also the option that you take this level and then you end up putting a lower low and you begin, and that turns into the beginning of the channel to the downside into bear market. Think about this. We're talking this area being March 2026. This peaks at around October 2025, which is actually well located in terms of timing. That is the most bullish time in terms of seasonality for Bitcoin, particularly in a topping year. So leave the door open for any surprises, but take one step at the time will be my takeaway. We can see how the cross-buy ratio didn't disappoint in here. It gave this reading right there at the area that was the best buy for Dogecoin. Longs versus shorts are quickly stepping in, getting into 36. That is gonna meet very soon with that resistance, if not already. When we get into the second half in here, we got plenty of room, as you can see, to get into the top of the range according to the percentiles. The first one comes in as 61, the second one as 65. That is thanks to these highs of 69. So I think there is plenty of room for Dogecoin to bring in a little bit more longs. The socials are definitely not overextended. I will say that they are at the lows of this range between February and now. There is a channel here that I'm monitoring. If we start breaking beyond that 25 cents, I want to see if the socials peak around 6.5 when we get into the 30s or 31. That could be a potential area to take profits, with the confluence of socials peaking at typical highs, with the price meeting heavy resistance after having slid a 40% in one go. We just took all the immediate liquidity in the past 3 months for Dogecoin. There are some levels here when we look at Legend. One is at 24, one is at 25, and that is not necessarily as substantial to really attract that much the price. Indeed, we have 23.5 being the largest one, but things are quickly moving. that one got taken as I'm speaking. The price, the chart just updated and it got taken. 21 cents seems to be now the risk that is located around here before putting these two green candles. On the daily, we were monitoring this particular pattern. I was opening the doors for potential downside in here because this is a bearish pattern. But I say that if Ethereum and Bitcoin are behaving, we're going to cancel out the performance, the typical target of this bearish pattern, which will have been to go beyond the 15 cents. We did it already multiple times on the went down, but this was the last one and it didn't play out as a bearish pattern. Instead of that, we took all this immediate liquidity that we also talk about. We carry on with this one and there's almost nothing left in the short term. Looking at CryptoQuant, we can see that everything is in neutral. I'm not sure if the page is broken or if it's really confirmed. Since I cannot see any reading in here, I'm tempted to suspect that CryptoQuant has left the page broken. BitOrigin lines up 500 million to build a Dogecoin treasury. That's an 8 out of 10 bullish news. We got a 7 out of 10 saying that the open interest in Doge derivatives jumps to a 5-month peak alongside a 39% volume spike, indicating leverage traders and new capital are backing the rally. And a 6 out of 10 only double bottom breakout, rising futures open interest, and healthy funding rates highlight a technical setup that could propel Doge towards the 0.48 to $1 in the coming months. So just to wrap it up, the big takeaway I will say in here is how do we react with 24 cents on a weekly close? Whether we're going to actually flip to the bullish half in terms of longs versus shorts, or we're going to see a rejection of 24 and the longs versus shorts. That is the critical decision. And if we manage to put that sexy breakout in here, sliding through the volume in here should also be an easy win. If you are sitting on your hands, I remind you that I do not like to trade breakouts on crypto. That's why I focus on areas of value. For example, the crossbuy, saying that the volatility has peaked to the downside, areas where the longs versus shorts are extremely devalued. And that's how I build against a thesis of potentially building later a double bottom. When you are wrong at those levels, you do it at a better risk to reward, because if it fails to complete the double bottom, you can average down in a position of advantage. If you do it right here, hitting the 20-cent liquidation, that's already at 18% to the downside. Not to mention taking the liquidity below the double bottom pattern, that's a 46. And considering that you're trading already a beast, this is a meme coin, it moves less than the meme coins, the new ones, the new generation of this cycle, but still, it is a large cap now meme coin top 10. But as you can see in here, drawdowns of 70% can happen even in the bull market. So think about the drawdown in a bear market. Now let's close the video with the extension of one that is calling for 53 cents and the golden pocket pointing towards 78. Now, if you really want crazy targets, I already gave you the $4, so this is nothing. But if you do an extension of the previous cycle, assuming that in this cycle, Dogecoin outperforms the previous one, you got targets of 78 towards 124. For that, I assume that Doge needs to be used for something really big to prove itself. Many of the investors of Dogecoin are trading it because they believe in Elon Musk and all his ventures. And I think to keep it in an uptrend cycle by cycle, I will say that is a big condition. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.